What is happening at Arsenal? My goodness. Breaking news this morning, brought to you by Sammy McBell, confirmed by Fabrizio Romano and many other sources, that Edu will be leaving Arsenal. What is happening at the club? Or is anything happening? Is it got to a stage where it's just going to be confirmed that he's parting ways? He's had enough. He believes he's done his best at the club. What does it mean for Arsenal moving forward? We don't know the full reasons why. This only literally broke around about an hour or so ago. Um, so I wanted to jump on this morning and talk a little bit about it and try and find out a little bit from you guys about what you think about this and if you believe that this is a good or a bad move, or do we think there's more to it? Is there something going on within the club? Is there an argument that's taken place? Has there been a falling out? That's normally what people point the finger to, but actually sometimes it can get to a stage where people just come to the end of what they believe their role has been in terms of the succession there, or believe potentially they can't take the club no further in what they've done. So there could be many, many, many reasons as to why there's potential for Edu to leave Arsenal. There is rumours this morning that there are a number of positions being spoken about in terms of a reshuffle. That's from what I can hear and try and make out this morning. And it looks as if Edu has decided that he does not see his future no longer at the club. Now, I don't know where it means for him. There's lots of reports that came out quite a while ago suggesting that Nottingham Forest were interested and he might be interested in taking the role up over there. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Will he go back over to where he knows in Brazil? Will he fancy another job in one of the foreign leagues? We really do not understand what or where the future of Edu will be, but it certainly is not going to be with Arsenal. Now, you look at what Edu has done and achieved at Arsenal so far. It's certainly not been a success as far as I'm concerned, because what he's brought in at the club has not been able to be a successful team, but he has definitely brought some fantastic players to the club. I know that Richard Garlick has definitely moved alongside him to work on some of those in the last recent couple of years, and maybe the reshuffle there we saw from him going and taking over Vinay Takesham's job. When you look at his kind of reshuffle, has that had something to do with it? Does Edu see himself in more of a important pivotal role than he already is in? I'm not so sure. I mean, he had quite a lot of say on transfers from what we understand. There looks to be a little bit of a team effort going alongside Mikel Arteta. They always said they got on well. They always said that they did everything together. They were part of a team and part of a bigger team. When you look at things, Josh Kroenke has always said that Edu has been a huge part of Arsenal as to why players will come into the club. And you have to look and say that although he hasn't got any of the all of the transfers right, sorry, he has definitely been a part of some huge ones. Now, you can always look at what a person has done: manager, player, sporting director, transfer negotiator, whatever you want to call Edu during his time at the club. But you must have to say that some of them have been poor, along with some of them that have been good, and I wouldn't say that it's 50-50, but I would say that it was closer or fairly close to 50-50 of the ones that he's got that were great and the ones that he's got not so much. But what's happening at Arsenal? We've seen the women's coach, Jonas Alderweireld, leave. You've seen Jack Wilshere leave only a couple of weeks ago, going to Norwich, which I genuinely believe is a good move for him and one that I think will definitely progress his career. Now we're hearing that Edu has gone, Vinay Venkatesham has gone last season, Richard Garlick has been promoted. And I understand that people leave clubs and that's just the way it is. But is there more to this? Is there something that you look at behind the scenes? Is there a falling out? Is it that he doesn't believe that he's been backed in the transfer market like he wanted to be? Is it that him and Edu have seen him and Arteta have seen complete differences in terms of what a successful window looks like? Well, the rumours will go on, won't they? You make your own decision up until we know what the actual ins and outs of it are. But all I do know is waking up this morning, Edu is leaving Arsenal, and there is quite a lot of reports suggesting this. We've seen today, if I share the screen, that Sammy McBell was the first to report this, and a lot of people actually like Sammy McBell. I think a lot of people see him as fairly reliable. I'm not one to call anybody massively reliable, but this was reported first of all around about an hour or so ago that Sammy McBell said that it's an exclusive that Edu is set to leave Arsenal in news that will arrive as a blow to head coach Mikel Arteta. Sporting directors played a pivotal role in the club's resurgence, and the story is to follow. Now, this is suggesting that Arteta is massively upset about this, or that it's a huge blow to head coach Mikel Arteta, which is surprising because it's not a huge blow to Arsenal, a huge blow to the ownership, a huge blow to the fan base, it's a huge blow to Arteta, which suggests that it's not been Mikel Arteta's decision here. This is purely on Edu and footballing reasons outside of Mikel Arteta's control. That's what Sammy McBell has suggested within the last hour. And then, of course, there's other rumours and reports and sources that have come in that have suggested that this is not fake and that, in fact, this is something that is going to be happening now. Fabrizio Romano sharing with the world around about the same time or just after that this is in fact true and that Arsenal director Edu Gaspar is set to lead the club. As per Sammy Mockbelt reports, the Brazilian director has been a crucial part of the project, pivotal to the rebuild with the squad with Mikel Arteta. Now, has something happened here? Because it's just very, very strange, isn't it, that this news has come out after some of the other things that have happened. Now, it could just be a coincidence, and it could just be that Edu has decided that enough's enough. He believes the 4 years that he's had at the club has been long enough, and it might just be that he's genuinely got other ideas on the horizon, other opportunities. He might want to go and take up another opportunity elsewhere at another club. You know, I've spoken about rumours of Brazil, rumours of Nottingham Forest. It's definitely something that I would look at as a ex-Arsenal player who knows how the club works. Maybe he feels that he just doesn't quite have enough power there anymore. Maybe he feels like his job's done. Maybe he feels like he's done all he can, and that we need to be looking, at somebody else, at a fresh breath of fresh air, a new direction. But we look at the signings that he's made. Some of them I've had huge question marks about, but there's no denying that some of them he's been pivotal into getting across the line. And you have to say fair play, to be fair. People forget that when he came into the club under Unai Emery, in fact, he was pivotal to some of the first transfers that we got across the line. Gabriel Martinelli being one of them. Obviously was a huge, huge signing for Arsenal at £6 million that everyone was very excited about as soon as he got on the pitch as a 17, 18-year-old. So that was one that you have to say fair play to. Along Raul Sanllehi, I would say that he had less control over transfers, but certainly had a say in them. And some of those at the time, a lot of people had question marks about. David Luiz, Kieran Tierney, Danny Ceballos, Nicolas Pepe. You can say at the time they were the sort of signings back then that haven't really worked out, and we're going in a very, very different direction now as to what we were back then. David Luiz signings weren't the ones that you were looking at with excitement. It didn't really change when Mikel first come in. It took probably the window after, with signings of Pablo Mari and Cedric were just make-do signings that he got across the line, but weren't really signings that you would think would be difficult to make. I mean, Cedric was clearly going to choose Arsenal over Southampton. And then obviously Pablo Mari, he had a good relationship with, who had played over in Brazil. So there was nothing really too special then. But then the signing of Gabriel Magalhaes and, of course, Thomas Partey, you started to look finally at the club and think maybe Edu and Arteta have noticed that for the last decade, we have need quite clearly at the club a Sol Campbell and a Patrick Vieira replacement. And it looked like those two players were going to be that. Now, obviously, they've not gone on to have anywhere near the careers of Patrick Vieira and Sol Campbell so far. But when they've got to the ages that they have, I think they've well-respected signings. Two of the better signings, I would say. You look at Thomas Partey's injury record and you think that's been frustrating, but you certainly don't look at the signing and believe that it's confusing or doesn't make sense. He was clearly what we need and has been very good for us still this season. I think when you look at it with Gabriel, I actually think he's been one of Arteta and Edu's best signings. So, look, I think it's interesting to see how they've both developed and where their careers are going and how they've been pretty vital and pivotal to what Arsenal have achieved, particularly Gabriel. And then, of course, he got the signings over the line that I would say people questioned the most in the summer. Martin Odegaard, one of the best that we've had signing-wise. Loan, then a confirmed signing. Aaron Ramsdale and Tommy Asu both coming into the club. Ben White, who's been fantastic for us. And then you look at Nuntavage and Lokonga, who are two of the ones that you probably have question marks over, right? You'd probably not quite understand them ones. And then I think he was pretty pivotal to backing Mikel Arteta with what he wanted the previous summer with, of course, Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko. Two good signings at the time that we thought could secure top four for us. Ended up taking us to a title. Then you look at what's happened with Fabio Vieira, a bad signing, So for every good signing, there was probably one alongside it that you would question whether it was for the future, whether it was not right for now, whether you felt that it was right for now, but probably wasn't one that come off. There's been a couple like that, right? Nun Tavares, goalkeepers definitely been signings. Matt Ryan, Matt Turner, Runnison that I've questioned and not quite understood. But there's been fantastic signings that have taken us to the next level, right? And that have allowed us to challenge for a title. Look, there's been question marks over Willian. There's been question marks over the goalkeepers I've mentioned. Were Pablo Marie and Cedric really going to take us to the next level? Not for me. Fabio Vieira was a hell of a lot of money. But then you look at the following summer and he was massively pivotal into getting Declan Rice to Arsenal. Like massively was. So there's definitely for me some positives and some signings that I look at and think, yeah, do you know what? I can understand that one makes sense. Timber was a very good signing. Kai Havertz and David Raya bought in as well. And then it leaves us to this summer where, to be fair, it was nothing short of a shambles as far as I'm concerned. Not the players that we bought in, because Marino and Calafiori, it's early days. Obviously, Raheem Sterling, it's very early days. But I just don't think that's showing the ambition to go and win a league. And that's where I don't just bring Mikel Arteta and Edu into it. I have to bring the Cronkies as well. I have to bring the ownership into it. It's their project. It's their men they're hiring. Are they backing them? Are they showing the ambition to get us across the line? In my opinion, Calafiori, Marino and Sterling are all very, very much safe squad players. I can't tell you that Marino, Calafiori and Sterling are going to definitely make the first team of Arsenal, and more than just make it at Arsenal, improve it and take it across the line. And that's where I have question marks over Edu. I also believe that as much as he's not just Edu, he has selected the players that clearly Arteta and him want. They've managed to get the ones they believe over the line. But that window in the summer was poor. Of course, the January transfer window, I think the last two hasn't been too great because of PSR, but we have signed Jorginho, Kivior and Trossard in that January. They've managed to get players out of the club as well, and I think Edu was a big part of that. When you look at the players that they had to get rid of, they had to get rid of Leno, Bellerin, Mustafi, Socrates, David Luiz, Kolasinac, Xhaka, Elneny, Ozil, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Pepe. There's been a complete rebuild at Arsenal where you forget what that team looked like. You forget that team under Unai Emery got to the Europa League final, and that perhaps it was a kind of overachievement, in fact, with some of the players that Unai Emery had to work with. So, look, I believe that there is too many rumours at the moment to associate that Edu's had enough. Edu's walked out. Edu's not being backed by the ownership. Edu doesn't believe Arteta's the right man. All that stuff's going to come out now. We don't know the facts, do we? Right? We do not know the facts. As Franklin says, how do we know in the chat? How do we know what's happened? We don't. All we can do is report that Sammy Mockbell, Fabrizio Romano and other sources are reporting that Edu is leaving Arsenal. Is it because he's had enough? Is it because he doesn't believe the ownership's ambitious enough? Is it because he doesn't believe in Arteta? Is it because he doesn't believe that he can do his job right? Is it because he doesn't believe that we're going to get backed in January, but he believes that everyone's pointing the finger at him and it isn't him? All of these question marks are going to come up. You know what it could be? It could be that he's got offered a better role somewhere else and he wants to go there. It could be that Nottingham Forest want to get him on board. It could be that he wants to have an opportunity over at Barcelona, or he wants to go over to one of his hometowns in Brazil and pick them up from a bad position. We have absolutely no idea at the moment, other than Edu is leaving Arsenal. That is literally all we know at the moment. So, look, I don't think it is that Edu looks at Arsenal and thinks we're going nowhere. He had true belief in everything that he was doing at the club. Every time he spoke on camera, he spoke with confidence and belief that he was going to get the club back to where we need it to. And I genuinely believe that he has actually been there through some of the rough and smooth, from taking the club from where it was under Raul Sanllehi and Unai Emery with Husfami and Gazidis, taking it all the way through to where we are now with the Cronkies and Arteta. And I think that, there's been other people alongside that. You look at the players that he's brought in, but you look at some of the people that have been key to him as well. It's not just been Edu and his magic. You've got to say thank you to Richard Garlick. He's also got to look at what Vinay's done to support him. He's also got to look at what Gazidis did early days. He's got to look at the Cronkies and, of course, Mikel Arteta as well. It's all just not on Edu. And I've always said, whenever the transfer window's shut, I was never one to point the fingers at just Edu. I've definitely pointed the finger at just Arteta on the pitch because that's his job, right? And the coaching staff. But I have never just had the window shut and go, that Edu, get him out. Because it ain't just Edu. Edu's a massive part of it, but you've got to have a successful window, whether it's January or the summer. You've got to have Stan Kroenke, Josh Kroenke, Edu, Richard Garlick, Vinay at the time, and Mikel Arteta all on the same wavelength. And they've always said it is all of us. We are massively part of a team. We all stick together and we all make decisions together. Now, whether you believe that, we can only go off what we hear, right? We can never say if that's the truth or not. Is something going on at Arsenal? Question mark. I don't know. I don't know that Jonas wasn't good enough for the women's team. Jack Wilshere had a fantastic opportunity at Norwich, and Edu's decided to go and work with a different chairman at Forest. That could just be the case, right? And it could just all come coincidentally at once. Is there actually a specific reason, or many a reason? Is there a culmination? These are all massive question marks at the moment, right? Listen, there's 1,000 people of you in here. Please do me a favor, hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button as well, man. We're flying towards 30K, and you guys are going to help us get there. So please make sure that we do hit the like button. If you do want to go over to manscaped.com and use the code FTM20 on Christmas presents, then please make sure you do that when you go to the checkout. Make sure the code is FTM20. We're doing a deal on the Beard Hedger and the Chairman Pro. So please make sure that you go over and support them. Look, there's definitely been an emotional outbreak, outcry, meltdown this weekend when it comes to Arsenal Football Club. And that is to do with what's happening on the pitch. And at the moment, things won't change if Edu goes. Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's leaving this minute. It looks like he might potentially be leaving at the end of the season. It doesn't look like he's going to be walking out now, or that he's stormed out of the office or anything crazy like that. Until reports suggest otherwise, he is just literally being announced that he is leaving the club. Now, we'll find out more throughout the day, I'm sure. I'm actually going to be busy today and tonight, so I might not be able to bring you much more, but there'll definitely be an opportunity for you to be hearing from us this evening. So, look, there'll be more talk about this throughout the day, I am sure. Let's bring in some super chats because I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about this. Suj says, big up down in the community, hit the like and subscribe. I've just got in. What is actually going on at the club? Now, there's a lot of people that might be thinking that Edu leaving, it means that there's been an absolute breakdown in relationship and that Arsenal are a mess and that behind the scenes has been a fallout and everybody's leaving. There's no evidence to suggest that's the case. The rumours suggesting from Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein will break something soon, I'm sure. Sami Mokbel was the first to do it, that he has decided to leave the club. That does not mean he's fallen out. It does not mean him and Arteta are through. It does not mean that he's not been backed by the Cronkies, and it does not mean that all of his targets he wanted in the summer and January transfer are not therefore available and he's off. It does not mean that. There are suggestions, of course, that there might be some problems behind the scene. There's some suggestions that there could be a potential complaint, argument, or falling out. Of course, that could happen at football clubs. I don't think he's got to that stage where he's bombed out because he does not believe that he's being backed. That's not something that I think has been happening. So that could be very interesting. My pet monster, big up to you, mate. Says Mikel probably told him he needs another 3 fullbacks in January, and he said, "Nah, I've had enough of this." So there's a lot of rumours that will come out like this. I honestly believe that him and Arteta have been on the same page from what we believe. I don't look at any signing that we've got in at Arsenal and thought, yeah, Arteta didn't really want him. It's Edu signing. And I think potentially that had happened before Arteta. I think definitely Pablo Mari and Gabriel Martinelli and David Luiz were signings that, and Willian were signings that Edu had a big say in. But I truly believe the ones that have worked, Arteta's still playing them, right? Arteta loves Martinelli, plays him all the time. Arteta loves Martin Odegaard, plays him all the time. Likewise, Ben White. Likewise, Timber. Likewise, Raya now. Likewise, Gabriel. Saliba, who people forget, Edu brought in under Unai Emery. Thomas Partey, still playing. Declan Rice, massive part of the Declan Rice signing, apparently, was Edu. So, I don't think it's that. I don't think Arteta's looking at Edu's role and thinking, you're useless, mate. I'm glad you're gone. But we'll see. Suj, happy birthday, Dan, for the weekend gone. Listen, it was my birthday yesterday. Thank you all so much. I was overwhelmed with the amount of comments that came in last night's This Is London show. Big up to Dan Lawless, Don, Deji, and of course, Guna Lee, who run the show for me last night. Race for Europe is back tonight at 8 p.m. and that definitely will be a good one and one to watch on news and breaking news that will be happening throughout the day around Edu and surrounding him. Look, I get a feeling from the chat that there's a lot of people that are pointing fingers towards potentially some of the negatives that has happened in Edu's reign. There's definitely negatives, but there's also 100% some positives. And I think sometimes when players leave, managers leave, footballing men leave, board members leave, owners leave. You look at what they have done, and there's always going to be negatives and there's always going to be positives. If you was to take Arsene Wenger when he was leaving, everybody remembered him straight away for what he did in his first 10 years and then had question marks in what he did in some of the times at his second 10 years at the club, right? But when you look at what's happening with Edu, I don't think Edu leaving Arsenal will have a significant effect on Arsenal. However, it is going to be very interesting to see how things run now and very interesting to see what happens in terms of somebody else being brought in. And I just wonder, a name that just comes to me straight away is Mark Overmars. I know he's done an unbelievable job over in Holland, very, very highly sought of, and then a lot of personal circumstances prevented him from going and taking another job. And I just wonder if there's basically a name like that that can come in and excite the Arsenal fan base. It doesn't have to be an ex-player, by the way. It doesn't have to be a Gilberto Silva or Dennis Bergkamp or somebody like that or a Mark Overmars. I'm just looking at previous similarities as to why and how people have been successful in football. And Mark Overmars is one that absolutely has been. And it would be a first name that I'd be looking at and replacing him. But look, Edu's still here at the moment. It doesn't look like he's leaving out the door today. But until we get that opportunity to look at the potentials of when Mikel might be asked about what's happening with Edu, I'm sure he'll give a fair answer. I'm sure that there'll be more news later on that suggests that Edu was left because of X, Y, or Z reasons. At the moment, we're all guessing. It's a guessing game. There's fingers being pointed in all directions at the moment. It's Edu, it's Arteta, the Cronkies ain't backing him. Oh, he's got a new role. There is definitely being a reshuffle at Arsenal. Whether that means that Edu's been sacked and there's no more room for him, that is just not the case at the moment from what we're hearing and understanding. It's Edu's decision from what we hear, and he's decided to leave the role. Now, that might be behind the scenes that there's a reshuffle and he doesn't like the fact that the new structure is away from what he wanted to first come to Arsenal for. That could be a genuine reason. It could be that Edu has been offered something else elsewhere that he truly believes is good for his career path. We have to be realistic about what this opportunity might look like on the bigger scale for Edu. And sometimes you look at it and think, someone's leaving their role, it means the worst. It means they've been sacked. It means they've fallen out. It means they don't believe in the project anymore. And we just don't know that that is the case. Now, a lot of people might wonder what's happening at Arsenal, and I'm one of them at the moment. And in the coming days, we might find out. But let's also remember that we might never find out, or we might find out in 10, 15 years' time, the actual truth. I think there's always been question marks about Arsenal structure each season. Is it delivering to the best? Has there been genuine discussion around Mikel Arteta leaving the club when he said that he might have walked out a couple of years ago after he felt he underachieved? Would he look at it this season as underachievement and go alongside Edu and think, Edu's going, I need to go as well? We don't know what's happening here. We really don't. We believe that at the moment, Edu has decided he wants to go. That has nothing to do at the moment, we believe, with Kroenkes or Arteta. And there's a lot of people that might think, well, Edu's going because he wasn't backed in the summer. Well, it might not be that. It might be that he's got another offer, right? So, look, what does this mean for Arsenal? How many people are genuinely happy that Edu is leaving? Because there are some people that don't rate him. There are some people that have no time for what he's done at the club. There are some people that believe that he could have done a hell of a lot better, or we could have done a hell of a lot better with somebody else being brought into the club. I think there's definitely... let me ask, actually, is Edu going? Is Edu leaving, should I say? Let's put a poll in. Is Edu leaving a good or bad thing? Let's get your genuine opinions here. Let's get you voting on good or bad. Is Edu leaving a good or bad thing? Good or bad? Let's start the poll. Let's see. Over 1,000 of you in here, people. In fact, there's 1,100 of you in here. We've only got 175 likes. That's crazy. Come on. You can do a hell of a lot better than that. Please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure that you are subscribed. That's all you got to do. Hit like and subscribe. And it's free. And then you get to join the 12th man community on the race to 30K. Okay. Let's take a look at what this poll is saying already. There is majority of you saying it's a good thing. Over 110 of you have voted already. Is Edu leaving a good or a bad thing? 67% of you believe it's a good thing, and 33% of you believe that it is a bad thing. So there's basically 60-40 and over of what people are telling me is a good reason for Edu leaving. It is 100% a good thing. Let's see what happens. Hit the like button, people. Make sure you are liking the video. We've now gone up to over 200 likes. That means some of you are listening, not all of you. Come on, we should easily hit 500 likes here if we've got over 1,000 people in. That's all I ask, is you just literally press the cross of the live chat, hit like if you like what we do, hit subscribe. It's free, and then come back in the chat. Big up to all of you. Look, there's a couple more super chats that I wanted to go through. Netweed, big up to yourself. My bro says the empire of failing is slowly crumbling. Come on, you Gunners. Now, Netweed's never been a massive fan of Arteta or Edu, and he backs up his opinions as to why. He doesn't believe that the Cronkies, Edu or Arsenal or Arteta have done the best job at Arsenal. And to be fair, for those that believe they've done an amazing job is lifting trophies. And these people that have not been able to deliver on that, I can understand why there's a lot of doubts. I've had my own doubts and concerns. I made them very clear, right? So for me, in a elite sport competition, you have to judge it on trophies and success on trophies, right? And when you don't win trophies, you can't judge it by success. What I will say is we have to be challenging every season, and that's what we're doing. And Edu and Arteta have been a big part of that. Now, for me, it's always been about challenging and winning trophies, not just coming 12th and winning a trophy like Ten Hag does, right? For me, it's about challenging and winning trophies. And we've got to now get across the line with silverware. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. That's for sure. Sniper Scope says, it has to be negative. Why not see process through? Has to be negative. Why not see the process through? Okay, that's a genuine question as well. He's saying it has to be negative that he's leaving. Why is he not seeing it through? A number of reasons that could be. First of all, he believes that the process is kind of done and his job's done here. Second of all, he believes that there's an opportunity elsewhere that he might want to take. Or thirdly, there's a new restructure at Arsenal and he either doesn't see himself fitting into it or doesn't believe in where they're going moving forward. They're the reasons. And I think one of those reasons will come out in the coming days. There'll be an announcement, I'm sure, that the Cronkies have decided to restructure and Edu just doesn't like the restructure. There might be that the behind the scenes is changing and he doesn't like the way it's going. Or it could just be that Nottingham Forest or another club have said, come and work for us. We'll pay you 3 times as much and we'll give you the role that you've always dreamed of. So that could be where we're at with Edu. We just do not know at the moment. 1.2k in the building. Please do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure that you subscribe. Let's see how we're doing on likes and let's see what the poll is saying. We've got 270 of you that have liked. Please make sure we get that up past 500 now. Seeing as there's 1,200 of you in there, we should really get around 600 likes on this video if all of you was to hit like now. So please make sure that you do that. Is Edu leaving a good or a bad thing for Arsenal? Well, there's nearly 300 of you that have voted on this now, and it looks like 60% of you are stating that it is a good move that he is leaving Arsenal. We're only really going to know this from when he leaves to the end of the season, because for me, I don't believe he's going to go now, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. There could be an announcement suggesting that he is going to go now. So we don't know for sure or for certain the ins and outs. All we can do at the moment is report on what we do know. Nothing else being reported at the moment in the world of X or Twitter, as I still call it Twitter, by the way, but a lot of people call it X. So yeah, at the moment, nothing from Sammy Mockbell other than what he reported an hour ago. Same with Fabrizio Romano. Can't see anything from Ornstein. What is going to happen? What is going to happen at Arsenal? Where does this leave the club? Who is going to be able to get the role? Is there going to be a potential for a Mark Overmars type replacement? Or have they already got somebody lined up? And that's the reason that Edu is leaving. I am sure we're going to find out much more. But listen, all we can do at the moment is report on what we do know. Edu is leaving Arsenal. He has done a job where I would say has pretty much split the fan base by pretty much in half, of those that think he's been fantastic, those that think he's been not so good, and those that think he's just done his job. I'm a little bit in between not a great job and done his job, if I'm honest with you. I don't look at Edu and think, wow, this was special. It was a monumental achievement of what he's done at Arsenal. I don't really feel like I can get behind everything that Edu has done. He's brought some good players into the club. He's brought some bad players into the club. Let's be real. He really has. A lot of people talking in the chat about Nottingham Forest. I don't know if Marinakis is a fan of Edu. I don't know that for a fact. There was rumours not too long ago that Nottingham Forest were looking at Edu and liked the job that he'd done there and said that it would be good to get somebody like him in. Does that mean that heads are rolling, or does it mean that Edu's looking and had his head turned? There's a huge difference here. Huge difference. He's definitely not been sacked, otherwise it would have been reported. But you never really hear sackings. You hear he's leaving. So it could be that he's left and decided to, instead of being sacked or being pushed, he's gone. I really doubt that's the case. I genuinely think from what we're hearing at the moment that Edu sees his future elsewhere, and that is all it is. So look, I don't think it's been a very good window. I don't think the summer window, we look back at Edu and thank him for it. I think it's been poor. I don't think the January transfer windows have been great with Edu, if I'm honest with you. Let's be real. If you look at the January transfer windows, he's brought in Pablo Marie and Cedric. He's let Aubameyang go. He's cleared out players. He's not bothered to do anything in three of them. And the one that he did do something, we were going for Caicedo and Mudryk, and we ended up getting Kivior, Jorginho, and, of course, Trossard. Let's be real, three players that have done well. But other than that, every window in January has been poor. Every window in January. It's just been called January, not the winter window, because nobody at the club has been ambitious enough to get anything across the line. In the last two January transfer windows, or is it the last 3 or 4 maybe? Might be the last 4. I think we've signed 2 or 3 players, which is just not enough when you're going for a title. So you can definitely look at him there and potentially say that there's question marks. You can also look at the summer windows and say, was it enough? When every one of them was shut, have we always been short? Well, the answer is yes. This summer window was probably one of the most disappointing that I've had or seen in a long time. When you buy a defender that, let's be real, is injury prone, let's buy a midfielder that, let's be real, hasn't lit up anything yet, and you buy a winger that they're not using and playing Jesus ahead of now, it doesn't look great. And yes, results have not helped. If we were winning 3 or 4-0, nobody would have cared about January, the summer transfer window. But you've got to prepare yourself at Arsenal for the worst case scenarios so that when things do go wrong, they can't look at you and go, you're the ammo. You're the reason why it's not gone right. And I think a lot of people have done that, if I'm honest with Edu. I think a lot of people see him as being one of the players who, one of the parts of the regime that haven't been 100% successful. And that's why the poll at the moment is showing that 63% of people believe that it's a good thing that he is leaving. We've only got 323 likes, people. Let's get that up to 600. All you've got to do is click like and subscribe. 2 buttons that are next to each other and are absolutely free. And it does help the channel grow massively. So if you can get us towards 30k and help the 12th-man community grow, that would be fantastic. To summarise, have I missed any super chats? Let's make sure I haven't. Only Suge. I'm just intrigued on the flow and effect of players like Martinelli, Big Gabby, and the South American players. Look, I think there's been a definite reason as to why we've looked at opportunities to sign players like that. He hasn't always signed Brazilian players. I think sometimes people thought, oh, Edu's just going to go and buy Brazilians. Well, he's only really looked at Portuguese or Brazilian players such as Gabriel Martinelli, Marquinhos, who was not a good buy, Fabio Vieira, who was not a good buy. I think Nuno Tavares and Lokonga were definitely a lot to do with Edu, and they haven't been good buys. But other than that, he has brought in some great players. So let's just be real about it. We have to give praise where we give criticism. This one here comes in from Connor. After this terrible window, I have no problem with him leaving. Even the Havertz signing blew my mind, even if he has been decent since March. Look, I think that we can definitely give criticism for some of the signings. I don't think Havertz can be one of them, if I'm honest, because as much as I don't think he's one that is going to take us across the line and win us the league and be the best striker ever, I think he's going to be a really important squad player. What I can do is get behind the bad signings such as Runnison, such as Matt Ryan, Matt Turner, players at the back like David Luiz. Was that a good signing? Not for me. I don't think, personally, players like Nuno Tavares, Lokonga, Fabio Vieira have been successful at the club. I have to say that. They've been quite poor. And we have to give Marino and Calafiori more time. They can't have 10 games and we said it's a bad one. But there's a lot of people that do believe that it's bad news, but there's quite a lot of you here saying that it's really good news and that they're actually quite happy that Edu is going and that they've got nothing against the fact that he's leaving the club because they don't think he's done a good job. And I think that just speaks volumes, if I'm honest. A lot of people saying good riddance, get rid of him, we need to replace him. Some people want Arteta out as well as Edu. Look, 500 of you are voting now, over 500 of you, and over 60% of you believe this is a good thing for Arsenal and that he should be leaving the club. I mean, just let me know in the chat, just literally a sentence or a few words on why you want him to leave. Transfer window, transfer negotiation, um, bad transfers, not supporting the club, not showing ambition. Just give a few lines for me to understand why you believe that he's done a bad job or why you think it's good news that he's left Arsenal, because I don't really have any feeling about it. I'm not sad. I'm not happy. I'm just like on to the next. I don't really have any love or connection with Edu, if I'm honest with you. I don't. I'll be really interested to find out Lee's points of view, because Lee obviously knows him, speaks to him, and has spoken to him quite a lot more than me. So it'd be really interesting to find out from Lee when I do a show with him next about what he actually thinks. A lot of people are asking this question: who do you think is next? I really don't know. I don't think there's been any links or rumours to any new people coming out of Arsenal, whether it is an Overmars, a Bergkamp, a Gilberto Silva, a Patrick Vieira. I have no idea what it is. And I think just Arsenal fans just believe now that Arsenal are going to go after ex-players all the time. That isn't always the case. You know, some of the best footballing men didn't play football, let alone play football for the clubs that they either managed or were a part of. If you look at Jose Mourinho, he never played football. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger and Jurgen Klopp were not amazing footballers and didn't go to their clubs they loved. So some of the best people in football, you know, it weren't just all, oh, they were like Pep, they played for Barcelona and then they won everything with them. Like, it ain't always like that. So it might not be an ex-footballer. It might be somebody in the ilk of an Ashworth or Wilcox or somebody like that comes in. We just don't know, do we? We just do not know at the moment. Look, there's quite a lot of people that are saying reasons as to why. Ranić is being spoken about. Barada, look, they're all there. They're all, you know, within their clubs now. They're not leaving. Does he leave now or at the end of the season? Not sure at the moment. Not sure at the moment. We don't understand it. Is it going now? Is he not going? We don't know. A lot of people saying that Arteta needs to go with him. Some people are backing Mikel Arteta. Some people like this, like all disease. £800 million spent, Dan. Most of the signings have been injury prone or duds. Look, I will say this. Don made a really good point last night, actually, and it's not often that Don does that, bless him. No, I'm only joking. Love for Don. Look, Arsenal got the smallest squad alongside Man City in the league, 22 players, and 6 or 7 of them are injury prone, which means really we've only got 15 to 16 players, and that is not enough. Now, I'm not saying that's all Edu's fault, but Edu and Arteta have assembled this squad and they've seen it as good enough and strong enough. And I can't help but think that if they would have bought 2 or 3 more players in the summer, like we all wanted, then actually we could have a 25-man squad and you get yourself to 17, 18 players. And that is what we need. That is what we need. Because at the moment, we've got injury-prone players that just need to be gone in the summer. Kieran Tierney, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Thomas Partey, Gabriel Jesus. If I'm honest with you, there's probably another couple that people are looking at thinking, what's happening with him? Is Calafiori going to carry on getting injured like this? So, look, there's players like that at the moment that are getting niggles as well. Marino, White, Timber, Calafiori, they're all getting niggles as well. If they continue, they'll go into that list. I mean, Ben White's fairly durable, to be fair to him. But we've got to sort these injuries out. And anyone that cannot stay fit, nah. We just got to go. We just got to get rid of them and be ruthless, because that's what it is. That is what it is. So yeah. Look, I think there's definitely an opportunity for us to learn quite a lot in the coming days. I don't know the ins and outs of this and the reasons behind Edu leaving. All I know is that he's had enough and he's off. Now, when you say he's had enough and he's off, that might not be that he's had enough of Arsenal. It might be that there's a new opportunity for him, as I've said previously. We don't know this yet. We will find out in the coming hours about more on what's happening with Edu. And I think it's, for now, just good to be open to this. Not say that it's negative, not say that it's positive, but look at both opportunities. It could be a positive that he said, right, I think I've done a good job here. I've been offered something else and I'm off. It could be the negative to think I've fallen out with the people here. They don't like me anymore. I don't think I've done a bad job. They think I have, but I'm going to go. Or it could just be in between. It could just be like, look, I think I'm done here. I think I've done my time. I think I need a new challenge. We really don't know. But he is leaving, and it is confirmed that he will be in a scenario with Arsenal where he is now leaving the club. Look, guys, make sure I haven't missed any more super chats. Big up to every single one of you for being with us and for putting in, of course, a super chat as well. And for all your comments, it's great to see so many of you, nearly 1,300 of you in here. That is absolutely amazing for a morning show. So big up to every single one of you. Please make sure that you get involved in the poll. We've got 64% of you at the moment that believe this is a good move and that Edu leaving Arsenal is good for the club. Nearly 700 of you have voted and over 60% of you have said that. Make sure you hit the like button. There's not even 400 of you that hit the like button yet. Please make sure you hit like and subscribe. The two buttons that are free, the two buttons that mean so much to get us to the big 30K at 12th man community. Please make sure you do that. We're now on 400 exactly. Let's get that up to 700 likes, people. You can do it. I believe in you. We're going to end the poll here at 64% of you that believe that Edu leaving Arsenal is good, with the remainder, just over 30% of you believing it is bad that he is leaving. We're going to need a replacement. Somebody's going to have to take over that role. Is there going to be a new appointment made at Arsenal in the coming days, months? We will see. But please make sure you've hit like and subscribe, and we will see you next time, people. Take it easy. We're out of here. Big up.